Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into a stack of sources, extract the essential high-impact knowledge, and give you the shortcut to being instantly well-informed.
Today, we are embarking on a really unique and fascinating literary deep dive. Our source material is essentially a longitudinal character study. We're looking at the lives of two people, Emma Morley and Dexter Mayhew, but only through the lens of a single, unmoving date.
July 15th, St. Swithin's Day.
Exactly. Repeated annually, right across 2 decades.
It's just a brilliant mechanism, isn't it? Because it forces us and you, the listener, to confront the realities of gradual change. We don't get the slow burn of months. We just get these annual snapshots.
It's like opening a time capsule.
Yeah, every single year. You open it up and see how their core identity, their ambitions, and their central relationship has either flemished or warped or completely shattered.
And that's our mission today.
Yeah.
Trace that evolution. We're looking at how those initial dreams survive contact with reality. How career choices end up defining personal happiness.
And how a relationship that's built on such a fundamental contrast manages to sustain itself through these massive, massive professional and personal changes.
That contrast is everything.
It's the foundation of the whole study. I mean, right from the moment they meet, we have Emma. Emma, the idealist, the intellectual, sort of the moral center of the piece.
Right. She's focused on making a difference. She's carrying the weight of her academic achievement, her double first, and all these high aspirations.
And those big black NHS spectacles, they're not just glasses, are they? They're like a badge of her political commitment.
Totally. And then you have Dexter, and he is the ultimate aesthetic hedonist. His primary fixation, really his only one at this point, is maintaining a state of being perpetually posed for a photograph.
He's handsome. He's languid. His goals are completely superficial. It's all about image.
And his ambition is purely reactive.
Yeah.
Vague global travel plans, France, China, India, which, I mean, let's be honest, are fundamentally just a mechanism for avoiding the harsh demands of adult reality, right?
100%. His vision of success is also so telling. It's about looking good, making his parents proud, and that deeply shallow ambition to sleep with more than one woman at the same time.
I mean, that's his life goal right there.
Yeah. And so that opening dynamic, the idealist versus the image-obsessed, that's the foundational tension that defines every single one of our July 15th snapshots. So let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So our first moment is July 15th, 1988. They've just graduated, and we find them in Emma's room. It's a shabby, functional, rented room on Rankeillor Street in Edinburgh.
And the scene is set perfectly. It's the morning after, characterized by that postcoital silence, bodies curled in a single bed. It's this moment of maximum intimacy combined with maximum ambiguity.
Yes, exactly. And Emma, right away, she sets the agenda for her life. She is absolutely driven by this high-minded purpose.
But she knows it sounds a bit pretentious. She says she doesn't want to change the whole entire world.
Right. But she insists the important thing is to make some sort of difference, even if it's only to the little bit around you.
And she has this whole creed she lists out, doesn't she? Change lies through art. Write beautifully. Stay true to your principles. Live passionately. She has all the tools of the earnest intellectual.
The Smith Corona electric typewriter.
Of course. And the high academic achievement. Her room is basically a political and philosophical statement.
It's a manifesto, that's what he calls it.
Exactly. And Dexter, meanwhile, is just lying there, already performing his persona, eyes closed, cigarette perfectly glued to his lip. He's just asking the world to appreciate his look.
And when she presses him about his future plan, it's just all gloss. It's travel, which she immediately dismisses as so predictable.
Well, what's so fascinating here is that immediate recognition of their different starting lines. Dexter tries to sound all philosophical. He declares, I think reality is overrated.
And Emma, who just does not have his financial cushion, she instantly sniffs out the privilege in that statement. She knows only people who can afford to bypass reality can afford to critique it.
And that tiny little exchange, that holds their entire future conflict. It's all about their differing class perspectives.
You see how he registers her politics, too. He's looking around her room. He's noticing the photocopied posters for angry plays, the art postcards, and of course the photograph of Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, and he recognizes her room is a manifesto, but his interpretation is so. Dexter. He internally identifies Mandela as a kind of dreamy, ideal boyfriend.
A perfect, unattainable moral standard.
Exactly, that Emma holds everyone, including him, up against. He immediately tags her as one of those girls who use bourgeois as a term of abuse.
So it's not just a political difference, it's a social incompatibility right from the jump. She sees him as this privileged playboy. He sees her as beautiful but, annoyingly self-righteous.
But the real core tension is about identity, about stability. When she asks him about his ultimate plan, Dexter's response is so self-preserving. He wants to stay exactly as I am right now.
Which is just a profound rejection of evolution, isn't it? He's committing to aesthetic stasis, which is, ironically, the very reason he fails to adapt professionally later on.
That's a crucial insight, because he wants a career that sounds good in a bar, reporting from war zones, making documentaries. The validation has to be external and instantly impressive.
A photo for the mind.
A photo for the mind, I like that. Whereas Emma's validation has to be internal. It has to be rooted in impact and truth.
And yet, despite this fundamental opposition, they share this morning intimacy. There's the wine, the fags, the witty banter. She calls him out on his breath, tasting of wine and fags, and he charmingly flips the critique right back onto her.
But the resolution is Dexter's silent internal decree. This must never, ever happen again.
While she leaves for the bog, carefully keeping her back to him, maintaining a final physical boundary of dignity, they've just created this potent mixture of desire and, total incompatibility.
So let's jump 1 year forward, 1989. And the harsh realities of their chosen paths are fully visible, especially for Emma.
Oh, yeah. She has sacrificed any hint of urban glamour for pure, unadulterated vocational idealism in Wolverhampton.
He's with the Sledgehammer Theater Cooperative, touring a show called Cruel Cargo.
Just the title alone sounds exhausting, and the description confirms it. It's an Arts Council-funded spectacular on the slave trade, communicated through story, folk song, and
Pretty shocking mime.
Of course, shocking mime. The irony is just so rich. Here is the woman who wanted to write beautifully and change lives through art, and she is reduced to shocking mime in a traveling show.
And the letter she writes to Dexter, it just encapsulates the grim reality, doesn't it? Having her political passion met with kids throwing Maltesers at her head during her performance.
And yet, her idealism is still uncompromising. She defends the work so fiercely to Dexter. She's citing radical German theater in the 30s as a precedent for what they're trying to achieve.
Which is what? Banishing color prejudice from the West Midlands, even if we have to do it one child at a time? It's just pure, uncompromising vision mixed with undeniable absurdity.
And at the same time, she's dealing with the constant crushing pressure of her own success. Her parents, they see her hard-won double first as a wasted asset. They're questioning her daily.
And her sister, Marianne, a sensible, happily married nurse, apparently visits home solely just to gloat over Emma's struggles.
It really highlights a theme that gets overlooked, I think. The pressure to monetize talent and the social cost of choosing idealism over security.
That letter also brings up that infamous, disastrous visit to Dexter's family's sprawling 1920s Oxfordshire mansion.
Oh, this incident is so key because it reveals Emma's complete discomfort in his privileged world. She saw it through this romantic sort of Great Gatsby filter, but then she ruined the night by getting drunk and shouting at Dexter's mild-mannered father about Nicaragua.
She realizes she prioritized the Sandinistas over the chance of a closer connection with Dexter, and the result was just immense shame. She felt like a puppy who had soiled a rug.
She is fundamentally an outsider in his world, and she uses her superior moral position as a shield against her own, her envy or her desire for comfort.
So where's Dexter while Emma is dodging Maltesers?
He's in Rome with his mother, Allison. And Allison, she carries the weight of a respectable, secure family life, but with this lingering aura of having been something in the 60s.
And Allison is just instrumental in establishing Dexter's lack of professional foundation. He is still completely adrift. He knows he's not a writer. His French is limited to restaurants. He has no qualifications.
He's still hanging on to the aesthetic ideal of photography, right? Recalling his high-contrast project, Texture, from when he was 16, as the absolute peak of his creative life.
And his only job criterion remains the same. I must sound good in a bar. It's still this external performative measure of worth. Allison, meanwhile, is gently, but pretty pointedly, pushing him toward a direction, a purpose, some drive, some ambition.
That scene with his mother in Rome is just so heavy with unspoken anxiety. She's drinking almost the whole bottle of wine, and she schedules a serious lunch for the next day to talk about something else.
And she denies it's a divorce, but the anxiety is palpable. And this is the subtle introduction of her illness, which will become Dexter's central personal crisis pretty soon. It shows us that his charmed life is already starting to fracture at the edges.
So we leave 1989 with Emma having the moral high ground but suffering this physical hardship, and Dexter having all the privilege but facing an emotional abyss and professional drift. It's a perfect symmetrical inverse.
Okay, so 3 years later, 1992, the symmetry is completely broken. Dexter has experienced a genuinely meteoric rise.
He's an assistant producer on UP4IT, the peak example of frenetic, shallow youth culture TV.
And the program covers all the requisite edgy topics, doesn't it? STDs, drugs, dance music, police brutality, and critically, even more drugs.
This is Dexter achieving that external aesthetic ideal he craved. He's flying, he's minor celebrity adjacent, producing these hyperactive little films shot from all the wrong angles.
He is famous for Largin' It, the title always in lowercase, because that's the height of 90s cool.
Exactly. And where's Emma?
Well, she has pragmatically abandoned the mime and the militant idealism. She quit the theater co-op and settled for managing Loco Caliente, a Tex-Mex restaurant.
Which, even in Kentish Town, is full of waiter stroke artists, people
Right.
who are also trying things.
But she's planning her pivot. She's training to be a teacher in September. And importantly, she has shed the symbolic baggage of her youth,
The NHS spectacles are gone.
replaced by contacts. And she finally acknowledges that her argument against them was abstract and specious. And she feels this rare new sensation of being exactly where she wanted to be, stable, purposeful, and self-defined, not defined by resistance.
And they're on an island-hopping holiday in the Dodecanese, but they are operating under these strict, formalized rules of engagement.
The Platonic Geneva Convention.
Yeah, and this rule, which demands 2 separate rooms, is necessary to prevent things from getting complicated after their intimate start back in '88.
It's the ultimate boundary mechanism, isn't it? It allows them to maintain this deep emotional intimacy while rigidly preventing the sexual or romantic entanglement that Dexter fears would disrupt his carefully managed hedonistic lifestyle.
He's newly single from Naomi and is now dating Ingrid, the model/stylist who hilariously had to quit modeling because her breasts were too large for the catwalk.
The friction, though, is immediate. Emma mocks his acquired Cockney accent. I mean, the man went to Winchester College.
It's her constant critique. His performative identity is inauthentic. She prefers the real Dexter to the TV Dexter.
And he defends his new role by claiming he's a journalist researching MC Hammer's trousers.
And Emma, with her superior literary mind, just mocks the intellectual pretensions of his superficial job. She sees right through the image, which is why their friendship is so necessary to him, but also so irritating.
But then they share the secrets over terrible complimentary Greek brandy. Dexter confesses he got drunk and kissed a guy at Sex Facet's Drag, a club name that just instantly grounds the era in excessive non-committal hedonism.
And his bisexual girlfriend, Ingrid, was fine with it. He uses the line, "A mouth is just a mouth, isn't it?" to justify his generalized lack of boundaries.
And that is the setup for Emma's devastating confession.
Yeah.
She admits to the massive crush she had on him at university.
Only to find out he already knew, till he told him.
And then she delivers the punchline that just utterly shatters his ego. She realized she got over the crush after getting to know him.
"You cured me of you."
Brutal. It just strips him of his one reliable source of self-validation, the power of his aesthetic charm over Emma. He is completely exposed as inadequate to her expectations.
And this rejection, ironically, leads to the closest breach of their rules. Dexter, feeling rejected but still craving validation, suggests they break the convention for a fling, repeating his hedonistic mantra, "A mouth is just a mouth."
But Emma doesn't just say no. She explodes in this joyful rebellion.
She pushes his head underwater, screaming in exhilaration, kicks off her underwear, and runs naked into the sea.
It's a spontaneous, wild act of self-liberation. It proves that she can be just as reckless and free as him, but without all the baggage of shame or denial.
And Dexter, conversely, is left cold and coy, worrying about the situation and what scary Ingrid might think. She achieves true liberation. He just achieves anxiety.
1 year later, 1993. The contrast between their internal states is agonizing. Emma is achieving stability. Dexter is spiraling into a vortex of success and self-destruction, all shadowed by his mother's decline.
Emma is celebrating a huge professional milestone. She is a fully qualified teacher, and she's out celebrating her first job interview success with her best friend, Ian Whitehead.
Who has transitioned from waiter to comedian. And Ian has been leaving her these sweet, slightly desperate messages, inviting her over, offering to pay for the taxi, declaring he's home all night. He is the definition of stable, reliable affection.
And the narrative makes it really clear that she recognizes Ian's goodness. She loves him. She even uses his material, calling him absolutely the bollocks.
But the internal truth is crushing.
I love him, she thought. I'm just not in love with him. The prospect of scaling the ladder of life with this good, decent man just fills her with a terrible gloom. She is settling for safety over passion.
Meanwhile, Dexter is dealing with the final painful weeks of his mother, Allison's life. We don't get the full story of the cancer, but we know she is suffering. She needs help with the stairs.
And Dexter, who is supposed to be caring for her, is completely unable to cope. He's drinking vodka in the morning, he's heavily reliant on drugs, he's becoming more thoughtless, selfish. It's a decline he sees mirrored in his own aging body, feeling it like pattern baldness.
And this July 15th culminates in their pivotal argument at Poseidon, a modern British restaurant in London.
Dexter arrives late, drunk, and aggressively obnoxious. He's flirting publicly with the cigarette girl and then defends a waitress's skimpy uniform as a radical act of feminism.
Oh, that line, he says in his drunken bravado. I will fight to the death for the right of a woman to display her breasts for tips. He attempts to turn his objectification into a moral stance, a classic Dexter move of performing intellectual superiority while being morally vacant.
But the final unforgivable act, the one that breaks Emma's restraint, is when he weaponizes his privilege and uses that classic patronizing cliche.
Those who can do, those who can't teach.
He mocks the very purpose and stability Emma has just fought so hard to achieve.
And Emma's response is volcanic, but simple. She spits back. And those who teach say, go fuck yourself. She shoves the table, ruining his clothes with spilled wine, and delivers the ultimate dismissal of his career, telling him his TV is crap TV.
And the ultimate reality check comes in the Soho side street, where she refuses to accept his drunken hug and delivers her final evaluation.
You're horrible like this. You're obnoxious, out of control, with the booze, the drugs. It's the moment she finally weaponizes her moral authority against his self-destruction.
The cut from that is immediate. Emma returns home to Ian's vibrating flat, recognizing her choice but sinking into that terrible gloom.
And Dexter, meanwhile, attempts this pathetic, drunken apology to his dying mother. He confesses, sorry if I haven't been very, very good today.
And Allison responds with this heartbreaking, quiet grace. I suppose there's always the next time.
That line, I suppose there's always the next time, is just the most poignant reflection of missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential.
And Dexter is just incapable of processing the magnitude of his failure. He violently shoves the thought of his mother's imminent death away to focus instead on his own physical discomfort. It solidifies his narcissism. Even at the foot of his mother's deathbed, his primary concern is himself.
So a year after that traumatic fallout, we find both characters settling into the grooves of their new lives. Emma's taking the high road of purposeful stability, even if it feels a bit mundane.
She is now Emma Morley, the established English teacher at Cromwell Road Comprehensive in Leytonstone, and she's embraced a stable, almost ascetic lifestyle, waking early, drinking 1.5 liters of water, keeping up with the news, mourning events like John Smith's death.
And she's managing difficult students, like Sonia Richards, the whip-thin figure of resentment. It shows her dedication to working in the little bit around you.
She's still with Ian, who is now doing stand-up gigs like Mr. Chuckles in Kennington, telling jokes about TV adverts, a sign of the quiet, commercially acceptable life she has chosen.
But she's conscious of the compromise, isn't she? Physically and emotionally. She's pale, plump, with lank mouse-colored hair, blaming the refried beans from her Loco Caliente days.
And she's constantly fighting the temptation to regress, tempted by her mother's suggestion of jobs at Debenhams. She recognizes that the grand, youthful ambitions, the literary salons, the revolutionary theater, they haven't materialized.
She worries she is one of those people doomed to just try things. Trapeze, Buddhism, Spanish, without ever mastering anything.
But the literary ambition has found its necessary compromise. Later references show her working diligently on commercial, discreetly feminist crime novels.
Under the pseudonym Emma T. Wilde.
Which is such a great name, isn't it? Combining the conventional and the rebellious. It's a symbol of her compromise, channeling her political zeal into a commercially viable, structured genre.
And she realizes that reading Agatha Christie is not the same as writing, but she is doing the work.
We also see the complexities of her adult life. She's having a secret affair with her headmaster, Phil Godalming,
who is the ultimate symbol of compromise. He wears a beard he calls his trademark to hide a weak chin. She's receiving brown internal envelopes from him, marking their stolen, quiet intimacy. It suggests her stable life with Ian still lacks the passion she craves.
Meanwhile, this July 15th is Dexter's major professional his debut hosting live national TV on UP4IT.
And despite their devastating fight the year before, the bond persists. Emma sends him red roses and a card. Apologies for sulking. Hope it goes well tonight.
This act of sending flowers, it just highlights the unique strength of their connection. She can critique him mercilessly, but she still wants him to succeed.
But the debut is a catastrophe. Dexter is drunk, dizzy on the gantry, fluffing his lines.
And the details of that scene are so crucial for understanding his collapse. A heckler shouts, "Wanker!" The cameramen are laughing.
And his co-presenter Toby, this jumped-up little warm-up man, openly despises and envies him, effortlessly showing him up in rehearsal.
So Dexter descends into this alcohol-fueled paranoia, clinging desperately to the mantra that no one ever built a statue of a critic.
Because his self-belief is entirely external. When that external validation fails, he has nothing left.
And the consequences are immediate. The party ends early, and Suki Meadows, who has clearly eclipsed him, issues a professional warning.
I'm not going out there again with you off your tits, Dex.
And he cancels his planned dinner with Emma to pursue a date with Suki, prioritizing the fleeting validation of fame over the enduring stability of his best friend.
For Emma, watching this car crashing on television from her Leytonstone flat, the emotional reaction is profound. She feels a great wave of affection and longs for the authentic connection they once had. She's thinking, I want my best friend back because without him, nothing is good and nothing is right.
But he's already made his choice, leaving her waiting.
So by the late 1990s, Dexter tries to reconstruct a respectable life. He has married Sylvie Cope, the epitome of high society poise, and has a daughter, Jasmine. Superficially, he has cleaned up his act to become the new man Sylvie required.
But professionally, he has plateaued and begun a serious decline. His agent has dropped him. His production company, Mayhem TV Pack, it exists only as expensively headed paper with no commissions.
And he attempts to reframe this downfall as status anxiety, calling the decline envy, the tax you paid on success. He can only process failure as external persecution.
And his relationship with Sylvie is a performance of stability, not a true connection. She finds inebriation embarrassing and unmanly, so he cleans up his act. But the intimacy is so strained.
She dislikes laughing in public because of what it did to her face. And the description of their sexual life is brutal and telling. A demanding game of squash, where Dexter constantly feels like he is lost.
This dynamic is key. He likes her much more than she likes him. He admires her hard, bright qualities, seeing her as the embodiment of the status he craves.
And she appreciates his looks and his former potential. But there's a fundamental lack of tenderness or shared understanding.
And we get this devastating implied July 15th snapshot from 1999 involving a weekend with the Cope family, who are the ultimate winners. They view Dexter as a charm boy, a has-been. He tries desperately to perform well, but the entire weekend is a social gauntlet.
And the humiliation peaks during a ridiculous blindfolded family ritual called Are You There, Moriarty? Dexter is trying to navigate the room, but is struck by the Cope twins. Murray and Sam describe Viv as looking like they were raised in a lab.
And he's sent sprawling, crashing into the coffee table.
The ultimate nadir is when he accidentally headbutts Sylvie, causing her nose to bleed profusely and completely ruining his desperate attempt to tell her he loves her.
He can't even execute a simple declaration of love without descending into social chaos. The scene just encapsulates the impossibility of him fitting into Sylvie's ordered, hyper-successful world.
But the narrative provides a temporary flash of connection in an implied July 15th, 2000 at Tilly Killick's wedding.
A Marie Antoinette-themed affair, complete with a vac-tooped skirt.
Dexter and Emma meet in the privet maze, away from the spectacle.
And he confesses his imminent marriage to Sylvie and shows Emma the 12-week ultrasound scan of their baby. It's this moment of shared vulnerability and intimacy that stands outside the structure of their lives.
And while he's in the maze, he gets a call from Sylvie and lies immediately, claiming he is with a whole gang of us when he is only with Emma.
They share a long, complicated moment of proximity, their lips brushing as they pull away. It is described as a glorious confusion. Despite the existence of his fiancée and unborn child, their magnetic pull remains the emotional center of the story.
So by 2003, the facade is just completely disintegrated. Dexter's experiencing a crushing professional and domestic collapse. He lives in a terraced house in Richmond, a move that symbolized sacrificing his bachelor life.
The sports car, the flat.
For a vomit-smelling people carrier and good schools.
His career has plummeted from national TV presenter to supervising rocket arugula delivery for a falafel and wrap business at Victoria Station.
His daily purgatory is constantly encountering people who ask, with varying degrees of pity or recognition, "Didn't you used to be on telly?" The aesthetic ideal has been replaced by perpetual public humiliation.
This St. Swithin's Day finds him utterly alone. Sylvie is away for Rachel's meticulously planned hen night, a party so structured it explicitly bans spontaneity.
And Dexter is left with 7-month-old Jasmine. He buys 2 bottles of good Bordeaux and 20 cigarettes, settling in for a night of solitary, disappointed drinking.
He recognizes the profound disappointment he represents to Sylvie, noting grimly that if Sylvie had a receipt, she would have taken him back by now. His self-worth is 0, rooted only in his failure to live up to the promise she bought into.
The alcohol fuels the old compulsion to seek validation. He calls Emma, who is out with new friends, and has wisely turned her phone off.
He leaves this desperate, rambling message, musing about suffering from postnatal depression, and pathetically offering to pay for her taxi to Surrey.
And when Emma doesn't respond, he calls his former co-star, Suki Meadows,
who administers the final, brutal cut. She points out the long gap in communication, reminds him he was off your face most of the time, and cruelly recalls his infidelities.
When he tearfully reveals he has a 7-month-old daughter, Suki hangs up, delivering the ultimate adult judgment. "I think you better go and see to your daughter, don't you, Dex?"
She reduces him from a charismatic friend to a neglectful parent who needs to fulfill his basic obligation.
And the shame and isolation culminate in a moment of violence and immediate regret. Jasmine cries, and Dexter screams at her, "For fuck's sake, Jasmine, just shut up, will you?" instantly clasping his hand to his mouth.
The true rock bottom is abusing the one person who is completely dependent on him.
Yet the narrative provides a sudden, tiny flash of salvation. Trying to soothe Jasmine, he resorts to performing a demented cabaret, singing animals and a toy train CD player.
And then he finds Emma's birthday CD compilation filled with proper songs, not chill-out rubbish.
He puts on the Smiths' "There's a Light That Never Goes Out" and dances woozily with Jasmine in the small bedroom. For the first time, in an utterly non-performative, unglamorous moment of connection, he experiences intense elation and content.
He realizes this crying, snotty baby is his flesh and blood, and for better or for worse, she is a part of me. The aesthetic is finally replaced by the visceral.
The jump to 2005 delivers the narrative's great tragedy. It is the first anniversary of Emma's death, implied to be a sudden, senseless vehicular accident caused by some driver not looking where he was going.
And Dexter is in deep, destructive grief, mixed with denial. He is desperately trying to treat the day not as a funeral, but as a celebration.
He's co-invested with Emma in the Belleville Cafe, which he now manages, and he takes 200 pounds from the till to finance his manic coping mechanism.
He forces his stuffy and boring staff, like Maddie, Jack, Pete, out with him, treating them like unwilling hostages to his grief. He insists on drinking martinis and suggests a strip club, shouting the desperate, self-deceiving justification is what she would have wanted.
But the staff, acting like hospital orderlies, eventually abandon him in King's Cross. His isolation is absolute.
He ends up at Nero's nightclub, attempting to pour out his grief to a dancer and hostess named Barbara.
And this scene is agonizing precisely because of its detail. While Dexter is screaming his pain about the accident, the court case, asking, "What am I supposed to do now?" he sees that Barbara is completely detached.
She's secretly texting, holding her mobile in her lap, utterly oblivious to his tragedy. His desperate performance of grief fails to generate a single moment of connection.
Enraged and abandoned, he loses his wallet and keys and ends up bruised and staggering in the street. He is physically repulsive. His body shows the strain of nightly drinking, a podgy face, broken veins, a swollen lip.
And the ultimate sign of self-neglect, fecal-smelling breath. He sees himself for what he is, a shabby, lonely, middle-aged drunk, poisoned with regret and shame.
This reckoning isn't internal, but forced by external reality. And the rescue comes from the one man he once mocked politically, his mild, modest father,
who is now a devoted viewer of EastEnders and The Bill. His father finds him and provides this quiet, non-judgmental support.
And Dexter admits he doesn't know how to live without her. His father offers a profound piece of advice that finally penetrates Dexter's narcissism.
Try and live your life as if Emma were still here.
He reveals he has been doing the same thing for 10 years, since Allison's death. This moment connects Dexter's current grief to the past grief he once violently repressed, offering a path forward rooted in emulation and duty.
So by the second anniversary, 2006, Dexter has achieved the functional, purposeful stability that Emma always possessed. He has moved to a pleasant maisonette in Gospel Oak, a frumpy kind of place, but with great potential and a garden.
He's adopted a sober, mature lifestyle. He's dating Maddie, his cafe manager, a relationship built on mutual work and reliability, not aesthetic performance. He's gardening, contemplating golf, and wearing pajamas in bed. He has traded excitement for peace, and he marks this day with a deeply therapeutic and solitary task, unpacking Emma's belongings. He works through the boxes, in reverse chronological order, digging back through the strata of her life.
He consciously avoids reading her private journals or poetry, feeling it would be an invasion. He focuses instead on the tangible evidence of her life and achievements.
And the boxes reveal the successful compromise of her professional life. Dummy covers for the Julie Criskel crime novels and correspondence with her editor, Marcia. The quiet commercial success she found in teaching and writing is now fully documented.
But the deeper strata reveal the complexity of her romantic past. He finds a snap of Jean-Pierre Dusaudier, the handsome Frenchman from Paris, and a series of sexually fixated and pleading letters from the headmaster, Phil Godalming.
The boxes paint a picture of a woman who was much less stable and more sought after than Dexter perhaps realized.
But the most powerful discovery is the Polaroid, taken in Paris, showing Emma lying naked on a bed, a photo she had sworn she destroyed.
The fact that she secretly kept this snapshot from their brief platonic breaking affair slams him up against her absence once more. It suggests a deeper, hidden significance to that night, indicating that she held on to the possibility of them far longer than he realized.
The final box contains the symbols of their beginning: a photocopied program for cruel cargo, her essays, and finally her graduation certificate dated July 14th, 1988. It marks precisely 18 years since their lives collided. The symmetry of the long arc is complete.
And the final step in this annual rite of memory is the journey back to the Genesis. Dexter takes his daughter Jasmine, who is now 7.5, chic and immaculate, back to Edinburgh.
They climb Arthur's Seat, the mountain where he and Emma had ended their first long day together, the day they decided they had to be just friends.
It's an inverted scene. Dexter, wheezing and sweating, struggles up the hill while Jasmine laughs and effortlessly clambers ahead.
And at the summit, he inspects the graffiti scratches like "Fight Fascism" and "Fiona Forever," half hoping to see his own initials. He is standing at the place where they made the crucial, painful decision to define their relationship by what it wasn't rather than what it could have been. He is finally embracing the past, acknowledging the beginning to move toward his future.
This rigid focus on the July 15th milestone allows us to synthesize a dramatic, powerful, emotional, and professional arc. What we ultimately see is the inverse trajectory of their initial ambitions.
Dexter Mayhew, who started with every advantage, the looks, the privilege, the confidence, the early success, he collapsed into drug abuse and shame because his identity was purely performative.
Completely. He prioritized external validation until he had to confront the reality of who he was without Emma, leading him to the simple, reliable life of a cafe owner and devoted father. His eventual contentment came from dropping the act.
And Emma, the earnest intellectual, initially struggled with self-pity and feeling perpetually boring. She chased grand gestures, revolutionary theater, eloquent political statements, but found success and true happiness in the compromise of stable teaching and the quiet, structured achievement of writing her commercial crime novels.
She realized that her youthful moral superiority was often just a mask for pretentious, petulant, lazy, speechifying insecurity.
The key insight this longitudinal study offers is the contrast between the performance of identity and the reality of character. Dexter chased the perfect photograph. Emma chased the perfect manifesto. Neither found satisfaction until they accepted a compromise.
Dexter accepting the humble reality of being a reliable father, and Emma accepting the commercial reality of her talent. They switched roles. The one who had everything lost it all and had to rebuild from the ground up, while the one who struggled daily found this gradual, quiet ascendancy.
It really forces you to consider which parts of your identity are based on external optics, the job title that sounds good in a bar, and which parts sustain you when the aesthetics fail.
And Emma's stability, her devotion to routine and teaching, proved to be the ultimate sustaining force even after she was gone.
And as we close this deep dive, let's return to the very beginning. Emma's first resolution to herself on July 15th, 1988, was a commitment to eloquence. In the future, I will always speak my mind eloquently, passionately.
Yet, when we trace their trajectory, the moments that truly shifted their lives were characterized by silence. The crush she never confessed, the wedding proposal he was almost certainly about to offer in the maze that they pulled away from.
The secret Polaroid she kept, the realization that she cured herself of him, and that final decision to meet in Paris that was so tragically postponed.
Exactly.
The unspoken things.
So for all her eloquence, for all the words she wrote and spoke, what do you think was the greatest, most powerful, and ultimately life-altering thing Emma Morley never said? That is the question this deep dive leaves you to mull over.